If you are no longer affected by the judgment of others and you stop judging yourself, would you make different choices? Everyone has the potency to make inspired choices. Get ready to listen, share, and experience the creativity that is you. Now, here's the host of Inspired Choices radio show, Possibilities Coach, Christine McIver.
Well, hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining tonight. Yes, you are listening to the Inspired Choices radio show. My name is Christine McIver, and I am your host for tonight, as I usually am. I don't usually have anybody else doing my show, but, just in case someday that might actually occur. And if you have never connected with me here on the radio, I am really happy that you've joined me tonight. Whether you're listening live or in the replay, I am very, very grateful to having you join in. If you are listening live and you would like to ask me some questions during the show, I would love you to come on over to our chat room at the Inspired Choice at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. Click on the menu bar where it says chat room. Come on in there. We have a lot of fun in the back end, playing, dancing, asking all sorts of questions. So it's a lot of fun. Or as well, you can call in and ask your questions live. So it has been a couple of weeks since I have been on the show, and it's been an interesting time in my world. My body has been going through a lot of changes, and a lot of changes that, initially didn't seem generative. And so I wasn't able to do my show. But tonight I'm so glad that I'm back. My body is stronger than she's ever been. And there certainly has been a great deal of awareness. So thank you so much for joining tonight. So tonight's show is called Doubt Bleeds. We're going to be talking all about doubt and what that is actually creating in our world on a global level, and what that is actually creating on an individual level for ourselves or for our businesses, for our relationships, for our bodies, for every aspect of our lives. So I would love to have your input on what's going on in your world in regards to doubt. And, some of us may need to be really vulnerable around this subject because this is not something that most people want to publicize. And yet, if we're willing to get vulnerable, if we're really willing to look at something, we can change and we can morph this into something that can be a contribution in our world. So, before we get into that, I just want to tell you a little bit about myself. I am a possibilities coach. I love working with individuals. I love working with individuals regarding personal issues or business issues. One of the things that I absolutely know is that when we hold a vision, when we hold the energy of possibilities for someone, they can begin to step into it. And that's been something that has really spoken to me my whole life. I've been in my own business now for about 9 years, but that energy has always been with me. And a lot of you listening out there, you probably have some of the similar things where people come to you, where you're the trusted one they speak to. Well, who's the person that you can look to? Who's the person you can go to when you are in that space of needing support, needing some guidance? If that is something that would ring regarding myself, I would love to hear from you. I'd love to work with you. So, couple of the programs that I have. First of all, I have personalized coaching that I create for individuals. As well, I have some signature programs. One of my signature programs is called The Pleasure of Business. And this is where I work with business owners to show them how they can create the platform of their business and how they can start to step in and have more pleasure with all of the to-dos that we all have to add into our daily lives. If let's say you're an artist and you love to create art, well, that's fabulous. That's actually creating the product, or maybe there's a service. But the actual foundation, the actual structure around a business, if that's not something that you studied, if that's not something you're comfortable with, that can be overwhelming. And that's where I can come in to support you to really create that platform and help you to move forward with much, much more ease. Another program that I have is called Divorce with Dignity. And so this program is designed to support you as you change relationships, whether these are intimate relationships, whether they're family relationships, whether they're business relationships. How can we change it so it doesn't have to be something that creates a lot of anger and angst and frustration and expenses? So do connect with me if any of these ring true for you. So tonight, doubt bleeds. Do you have doubt in your world? Do you have doubt with your capacities? Do you have doubt about your future? Do you have doubt about your relationships? If any of these are true for you, even just occasionally, you want to ask yourself, is the doubt bleeding into other areas of my life? You know, what I know is that doubt is one of those things that, for me and for clients that I've worked with, it has snuck up on us. That all of a sudden something will occur in our lives or in our business, or somebody will say something, somebody will post something maybe on social media, and all of a sudden this energy of doubt comes all over us, right? And it's like, oh my gosh, look what they're doing, or look what they're creating, or oh my gosh, when he said that, did he mean this, or did my client mean that? And we go into this doubt about who we are and what we are creating in the world. Now, when you have this doubt in your world, and it's different than a question, okay? It really has this energy of not good enough. When you have that come up, you start to carry that around, and you start to use it as a filter. When you're looking at yourself, you're looking at what you've created, you're looking at even how you speak to somebody. So look at areas of your life. Do you have doubt there? Is there any amount of doubt in your world? You know what? That doubt starts to weigh on us, and it can start to seep into the other areas of our life where we may have felt quite strong. But when we are in an energy, we all know that energies, right, permeate our lives, permeate our bodies, permeate our creations. And if these energies are there, we are carrying them around with us as we move in and out of our lives, in and out of our days, right? The same can be said for confidence. The same can be said for our knowing about our capacities. When they're strong, that energy can also be seeping and contributing to different areas. Now, let me first talk about the definition of doubt. So the word doubt, the definition of it is fear or dread, to be doubtful, to hesitate, to waver and question. When you are wavering, when you are questioning yourself, when you are in fear, what is that actually contributing? What is that actually adding to your creations, to your life, right? Have you ever been in a conversation with someone, and maybe it's an intimate partner, maybe it's a lover, maybe it's a someone you're very, very close to, a relationship that is very, very important to you, and they say something to you, maybe it's a judgment, maybe they say something where they're questioning your choices, they're questioning the words that you've used, the statements that you have made, and you bring in doubt. There is an energy of fear, right? There is an energy of fear that is permeating with that doubt. Now, that may not actually be your doubt. That may be something that you actually were taught. That may be something that you were taught from society, from your family, from your community, from a religious sector. It may be something from school. It could have been from a brother or a sister, but it could be somebody else's doubt. It could be somebody else's fear. Now, when you have this fear, when you have this doubt that begins to permeate in this conversation, human beings, whether they are consciously aware of it or not, can sense the energy of where you are. Have you ever been in conversation with someone and they said, "Did you really say that? Did you really mean that?" And so what they are doing is they are actually putting doubt into your world, right? And if you're not strong in your knowing, if you're not grounded in who you truly are, right? If you haven't done your internal work, that statement, that question can actually start to have you go into doubt of yourself. And when that begins to happen, that other individual can sense it, right? Just like an animal can sense fear, we can sense the doubt as well. What does that begin to create? So they question you, you then question you, they question you more because of what they're picking up on, and that starts to create a dynamic that can begin to create separation, that can begin to create judgment of oneself. That doubt can impact us on such a huge, huge level when we have not actually looked at what is actually going on with us, what is actually being created. Now, this is just one example, but when you have doubt in your world, when you have doubt around anything in your life, what we often want to do is we want to ignore it. We want to push it away, right? It's not comfortable to look at. It's not comfortable to actually say, hey, I'm not very good in this area, and you know what, I'm just going to focus somewhere else. But you cannot push it away far enough that it is not impacting you. How many of you have doubt in your world and are willing to acknowledge it? Are you willing to acknowledge, I have some doubt around this? I have some doubt around, one of the big areas that has been in my world, in my life, has been self-confidence. I have not been in my past feeling confident with who I am, with what I know, with what I am choosing, and when I say with what I know, I'm not talking about necessarily knowledge, but my gut knowing about things, right? I've not been willing to look at it. I've not been willing to own it. And a lot of the time, that's because we have been entrained in this reality to operate from a place of science and facts. But if you're an intuitive, if you're someone who senses things and you get this instantaneous knowing about something and you've got doubt wrapped around your knowing, you are going to continuously question your knowing. And you know what happens? When you begin to question your knowing, just in this one area, what you start to do is you diminish your capacity in that area, in any area, to tell you the truth. But I know when I first started to really look at my capacities with my intuition, my capacities with my knowing, I didn't trust it because I had never experienced it before. So I doubted it. And I allowed the doubt to be greater than my awareness. So how many of you are giving more energy to what's heavy than actually being willing to acknowledge what is true for you? And knowing is instantaneous, right? This is something that if you desire to create something different in your world, you've got to be willing to challenge your own states of doubt. You've got to be willing to look at it so that it can change. If you're not willing to look at something, it's not going to magically change one day. You're not going to suddenly wake up one day and go, you know what? I know what I know, and I'm going to totally all that doubt is gone. It's just not going to happen because you have been, it's nearly like sitting in a quicksand. You have been sitting in this, and this doubt keeps pulling you down again and again and again. You've got to be willing to get super present. Get super present with your awareness of what is actually happening. Exactly. Jody Ann's in the chat room. Doubt is a killer. Doubt can stop the creation of anything. Doubt can stop joy. Doubt can stop prosperity. Doubt can stop creating relationships. And oh my gosh, if you're a creative person, and I was talking about this with a friend today, when we're so creative, we're constantly creating, and we're looking at different things, and you might be an artist of some kind, maybe on a canvas, or maybe on a website, or when you're coaching with people, whatever you create. If you're a creative person and you suddenly get a drop of doubt, your mind can become extremely creative in just amping up that doubt, and you can create a story that seems so real to you that it can permeate into your world in that one area, and then, of course, bleed into other areas of your life. Because when you have that doubt energy, it's louder than confidence. Doubt can take you out. So we're going to go for our first break. When we get back, we're going to dive into a little bit more of where doubt is in our world, how it can show up so easily, how it can really blindside us, and what we can do to begin to start to change that. So you are listening to myself, Christine McIver, here on the Inspired Choices radio show on the Inspired Choices Network, and we'll be back right after this short commercial break. Stay tuned.
Many of us make choices in our lives based on the past or what others think. What would our lives be like if we made choices based on what we desire in this moment? By tuning in to Inspired Choices radio show with Possibilities coach Christine McIver, you'll receive tools and inspiration you can use to do just that. You are an infinite being with infinite choices. Are you ready to create the life and living you truly desire? Listen for Inspired Choices radio show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email becomeahost@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is Inspired Choices radio show with Possibilities coach Christine McIver. To participate in the program, call in the U.S. 815-880-8255. In Canada, 613-800-8736, or Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to Christine@InspiredChoices.ca. Now, back to the program.
All right, everybody, thank you so much for joining me tonight. And I would just like to say happy Valentine's to you. It is February the 14th, 2018. And whether you're listening live or in the replay, you can still celebrate receiving Happy Valentine's Day from me. So we have had a full day of amazing shows created here on the network. People sharing what they love, people sharing what they know. And it's so amazing to listen to these shows and to listen to the confidence that these hosts bring to the table. I can tell you that when I first started in radio, I doubted my capacity. I doubted my knowing. And what started to change that was me continuing to choose. That's one of the tools where you can begin to change your doubt is continuing to choose forward. You know, what I absolutely know is that doubt will stop your creations. Doubt will stop you from choosing forward. And you've got to make this very conscious decision that, you know what, no matter what, I am going to not allow anything to stop me. How determined are you to create what it is you desire to create? Are you willing to, scream and yell and cry and get all these energies moving, allow all of this to come up so that you can choose beyond that, right? Doubt can absolutely stop your creation. Another huge thing is, I want you to remember this, and this is one of the biggest things that really jumped for me as I was looking at this show, is that doubt diminishes your future. Doubt diminishes your future. So let's look at an example of that. How many of us have worked with someone, or we hired someone, or we've gone to purchase something, right? And so we go to speak to the person that is maybe the creator, the person that maybe is a salesperson, and we go into, let's say we walk into a store and we're looking for something. If the person has this energy of hesitation or doubt, or they're not sure of themselves, right? If they lack this confidence, how much do we go, you know what, something's off? We get this energy of like, I don't know. Sometimes doubt can actually, there can be an energy of someone might be lying. There can be an energy of they're trying to hide something, okay? Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that that's what's going on for you, but when your confidence is really lacking, this is what other people can read. So would you actually purchase, say, an expensive vehicle, or would you work with a real estate agent? Would you work with someone who's cutting your hair and they have doubt in their world? No, most of us wouldn't. Most of us would go, you know what, something's not quite right. Now, there is the difference between confidence and arrogance, all right? And I do want to just touch on that for 1 second, because to be confident is to continue to step into the energy of I know what I know. That doesn't mean that there can be times where somebody asks you a question and you possibly don't have the information or the awareness, okay? If that actually occurs, if you're working with someone and they ask you a question, this is what I really suggest you say. You know what? That's a great question. I don't have the answer right now, but I will find this information out and I will get back to you. Now, what does that actually say? It says, I have the confidence, I have enough confidence in myself to let you know I don't know. But I also have enough confidence to say, I'm not ashamed of it. I'm not embarrassed by it. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to bullshit you. I am actually going to follow through and get that information for you, right? There is a very different level of respect and honor for someone when they're willing to actually own what they don't know, right? So when you're confident, it doesn't mean that you know every single solitary thing. And FYI, you're never going to know every single solitary thing. You're just not. You can continue to educate yourself. You can continue to fill yourself up in great information. I mean, I think continuously working on your personal development, working on your area of expertise is actually one of the most enjoyable things that we can do, because we keep our own world fresh. But that doesn't mean you're ever going to know everything. But having that doubt energy there, like, oh my God, what if they ask me this question? What if they say this? What if they say that? And you're worrying about something. Just like the law of attraction shows us, whatever we focus on actually expands. So people will pick up on that. People will be drawn to that energy, because the thing you're trying to hide will actually jump out even greater, right? The thing you're worried about. I know that so many of us are desiring to have more prosperity in our lives, right? We desire to have more prosperity as far as finances, as far as prosperity in our homes, prosperity in our relationships, and there is an energy of doubt that's under there, right? That energy of doubt regarding your prosperity will actually trump everything else that you are trying to create. You cannot have the desire to attract something, the desire to manifest something, and doubt together simultaneously. It cannot happen, right? Because you're saying, you're being the invitation to manifest something more in your life, but you've got that doubt in there. The doubt, that heavy negative energy, that is always going to be greater than your confidence, than your prosperity, than your knowing. Now, this is not something that has to keep us locked out of what we desire. This is not something that has to stop us. But a lot of people will allow the doubt energy to be there while they try to mask self-confidence, while they try to put on a face that they are confident, right? The greatest thing that people often miss out on is acknowledging that something's there so that they can change it. So Jody Ann says, no, it is not. Although others sometimes perceive it that way, I get that a lot because I am confident usually. Okay, I'm not sure what that was in regards to, Jody Ann, so if you can just put a little bit more information there. But when we have the knowing about something and then we allow the doubt energy to stay there without us being willing to look at it, the doubt energy is actually what's driving the bus more than anything else, right? And many of us are great at putting on a mask, putting on a brave face, but what oftentimes happens, what I've seen happen, and I'm sure that I've done this in the past as well, is the energy ends up being, instead of confidence, it ends up being push energy, because we're trying so hard to hide the doubt that we end up pushing something out. And you've seen posts on social media where people are like, oh, I would really love for you to come and join me, and and it's this big push energy, right? So all the places and spaces where you have been trying to hide that you have doubt, would you be willing to now look at this? When you are willing to look at your doubt and look at it with curiosity, doubt does not need to be accompanied by shame. Doubt does not need to be accompanied by embarrassment. Doubt can be actually accompanied by curiosity, right? Confidence not being the same as arrogance. Okay, thank you, Jody Ann. Yes, it is not the same. So when you have got confidence in your world and you are you're moving forward, it's fabulous. But what actually happens sometimes is if you've had doubt around something old in the past, it can blindside you. It can creep in really, really quickly. And sometimes we can move it really fast or we can kind of put it away. But if you're not willing to bring the energy of it all up, if you're not really willing to look at where doubt exists in your world, it's going to stay there. You're just going to keep burying it again and again and again. I think some of the bravest people in the world, I think some of the most dynamic individuals in the world that create change in their lives and create change in the world are those who are willing to look at their shit. Are you willing to look at what's not working in your life? Are you willing to actually get down with everything that is stopping you, right? When, a lot of people, and this myth, this whole persona is changing, but a lot of people have been embarrassed in the past where they are, they're going for counseling, let's say. They're going to speak to someone because maybe they feel depressed or they lack self-confidence or they're not sure what direction to go in with maybe their career, or they seem to be stumbling over things and they're embarrassed, right? A lot of people will actually stop themselves from choosing to get support because they are embarrassed. And this embarrassment is actually stopping them from getting to the core, to getting right deep down to the doubt that is actually permeating their world. When you are willing to actually get your hands dirty with what's going on, this is the strength of you. This is the confidence of you. This is the power and the potency that can change your world and change the world of people around you. There are so many amazing people in the world out there that would love to support you, that it turns them on and lights them up when they can actually lend their knowledge, lend their knowing, lend their abilities to support another person, right? And yes, they may be doing it for their business. I do it for my business as well, but I'm telling you, it turns me on and lights me up when I'm working with clients and I can see their whole world starts to unlock when I'm able to show them the real truth and the lies that they have been buying. So your willingness is actually one of the very first steps to changing and diminishing the doubt. Are you willing? Is now the time? My friends, are you truly ready to change your world in the areas that you have been lying to yourself can't be changed, never seem to change, right? I know that over the past year, over the past few months, there has been a number of places and spaces that have shown up in my own world where doubt was actually driving. And I'm determined. If I'm nothing else, I am determined that I am going to change it. And I have wonderful people in my life, wonderful, amazing coaches in my world that support me with looking at this. One of them is my dear friend, Rhonda Burns. She's an amazing coach, and she's willing to actually be a mirror to show me what's really going on and what she sees is true and not true. When you have someone like that in your world, you can change everything. Okay, we're going to go for our next break of the show. When we get back, we're going to dive into more around what doubt can be doing and how you can actually trump doubt and change it. Stay tuned, everyone. You are listening to the Inspired Choices radio show here on the Inspired Choices Network with myself, Christine McIver. We'll be right back.
Many of us make choices in our lives based on the past or what others think. What would our lives be like if we made choices based on what we desire in this moment? By tuning into Inspired Choices radio show with Possibilities coach Christine McIver, you'll receive tools and inspiration you can use to do just that. You are an infinite being with infinite choices. Are you ready to create the life and living you truly desire? Listen for Inspired Choices radio show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email becomeahost@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is Inspired Choices radio show with Possibilities coach Christine McIver. To participate in the program, call in the U.S. 815-880-8255. In Canada, 613-800-8736, or Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to Christine@inspiredchoices.ca. Now, back to the program.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining tonight. We are talking about doubt bleeds, how that energy of doubt can definitely bleed into other areas of your life where you might feel you're very confident, but suddenly one area has got a great deal of doubt in it. It can start to permeate into other areas where you start to question yourself. And when you begin to question yourself, you start to shut down your creativity, and that starts to impact your future. So before the break, we were talking about, are you willing to actually look at what's happening in your world? Are you willing to look at and ask yourself the questions, do I have any doubt in my world? Do I have any areas of my life where I am doubting myself, where I am doubting my capacities, where I am doubting my ability, where I am doubting what my future is going to look like? A couple weeks back, I did a show called What Does My Future Self Know? And one of the greatest things that I shared in that show was really about looking at what your future self knows and how your future self can contribute to you. Well, do you know what, guys? Your future self is not going to be able to contribute to you if there is doubt in the way. Doubt is a closed door to possibilities. Doubt is a closed door to your future. That's great, Jody Ann. She says, none here anymore. That's fantastic. You know, Jody Ann is just a fabulous example of, she's a brand new radio show host here on the Inspired Choices Network. And like all of us, when we start a new venture, there's some doubt, there's some concern, there's some wavering, right? But one of the greatest things is, you know, ask some questions around it. How am I doing? What's happening? What are you perceiving as I'm working with you? What are you sensing? Be willing to reach out and ask for feedback. And be willing to ask for, what else could I be doing? What do you see where I could be expanding? Tell me, and be willing to really hear what that person has to say. Drop your barriers. Drop your barriers. This person, most people actually desire to contribute to each and every one of us creating greater and stepping into more of who we really be, right? There is nothing, absolutely nothing wrong with putting your hand up and saying, I'm unsure. I'm unsure about this area. I'd like to change this, right? When you come at it from that space of curiosity, you absolutely can begin to become aware of the little niggles of doubt. And those niggles of doubt can pop out. They can get really, really big when you're willing to be aware of them. I want you to imagine a child, maybe a child that is learning a new skill at school. Maybe it's a new level. You know how sometimes when children go into the next year's schooling and they start to, you know, maybe spelling. Spelling was not a great area for me. I struggled a lot with spelling. I really lacked self-confidence in spelling. And so, you know, when it came time to spell, to actually start to study and to be able to learn the words, what was actually stronger in my world was the idea that I was going to fail. And that permeated my thoughts. That permeated my awareness. That permeated everything that was going on. I would actually get into a cold sweat around spelling. And I couldn't receive the learning techniques. I couldn't receive easily how other people wanted to contribute to me because I allowed the doubt to be stronger than my capacity to change it. Okay? Today, I have no problem saying, hey, I'm not a great speller. Or, you know what? I didn't learn a lot about words. So I'm willing to ask, hey, what does that mean? I've not heard that word before. I'm willing to ask it. And do you know what, guys? 99.9% of the time, I no longer have any kind of embarrassment attached to it. I no longer have any worry around what it says about me because I'm willing to ask, to grow, and to learn. I'm willing to have more come into my world with asking those questions as opposed to pretending what I think it might be. So where are the places and spaces in your world where you've allowed embarrassment to stop you from putting your hand up and asking for something greater? What would actually happen if you were willing to be so curious about where doubt is, where it stops you, that you could change it faster than anything else? Imagine that young child. Maybe you know a young child who struggles in some area in school, right? If they could really hear you, what would you say to them? Darling, you can learn this. You can get this. You don't need to allow doubt to stop you, right? Wouldn't it be amazing? I've seen children that they've been paralyzed. Not just myself, other children have been paralyzed by their doubt because something in their past or something somebody said to them or something somebody teased them about is what's in the forefront of their mind. What actually stops us with the doubt is something from the past. We are allowing something from the past to have greater impact than our desire to have something greater, right? That's actually what can paralyze us, is when we are allowing the past to drive our present and our future, right? Do you know what? Absolutely nothing and no one can stop you from creating greater except you. Are you really truly willing to have something new? Are you really determined to change your world so you can have more joy, more prosperity, more enjoyment in each and every day? Are you willing to reach forward into the doubt, pull it out, and examine it like an interesting bug? I've never seen a bug like that before. What's that all about, right? Are you willing to really look at something and go, you know what? This doubt does not have to take over my world. And I'm willing to actually say, hey, I'm struggling over here. I don't know what to do. There are so many times that doubt will come forward because of so many experiences that we have had in the past or watching other people in the past, right? If you watch TV and you watch, like competitions on TV, right? You'll always see somebody that has doubt in their world. And then if you were actually to step forward and you were to actually choose that, your memory of them in that energy will likely be greater than the memory of somebody confident, because what do we do oftentimes is we compare ourselves. We compare ourselves to someone else. That is so unkind to our capacities, is comparing ourselves to someone else. Have you ever been attracted to someone? Maybe someone that became, or you wanted them to become an intimate partner in your life, or maybe you were attracted to somebody who is amazing at public speaking, or they're amazing at creating in their lives. And, when you're attracted to that person, what is it about them that really jumps out at you? Oftentimes it's the energy, and it's the energy of confidence of who they be, right? Confidence is attractive. Now, oftentimes when we start to get into a relationship, we begin to doubt ourselves. Once we realize someone likes us, someone is attracted to us, we begin to change. And we stop actually coming forward with the energy of confidence. And what does that then do to the relationship? We've just changed a level of attraction when we actually start to doubt ourselves. That individual then will be like, okay, what's going on? Because this is not the person that I first was attracted to. This is not the person that actually drew me in, right? One of the wonderful things that you can do is you can actually turn around and look at yourself. Look at yourself in your mind's eye, in your memory, of what you were being the energy you were being when you first met that person, and the energy of what you are being when that doubt is there. Look at yourself like curiosity, right? That can start to show you what's happening. That can start to create the information of where this is happening. And then this is the door. Now the door starts to open. Now the door starts to swing open, and you can start to walk into that area of doubt and start to look at it with curiosity. Here's what I absolutely know. Your desires can trump anything that's not working for you in your life if you are willing to face it. Are you willing to face it? Are you willing to get very vulnerable with what's creating in your world? You are listening to the Inspired Choices radio show. Here tonight we're talking about doubt bleeds. Doubt stops our creation. Doubt actually takes us out. We're going to go for our last break of the show. When we get back, we're going to wrap up the show, and we're going to invite you into more possibilities. Please stay tuned, everyone. We'll be right back after this short commercial break.
Many of us make choices in our lives based on the past or what others think. What would our lives be like if we made choices based on what we desire in this moment? By tuning in to Inspired Choices radio show with Possibilities coach Christine McIver, you'll receive tools and inspiration you can use to do just that. You are an infinite being with infinite choices. Are you ready to create the life and living you truly desire? Listen for Inspired Choices radio show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you ready to have pleasure with your business? Yes, I said pleasure with your business. The Pleasure of Business a la carte will surprise you with topics like meet yourself in the boardroom, money, services, and you. Expand your visibility. The pleasure of communication. The pleasure of Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Christine McIver has so much pleasure with business and loves teaching all things business. Beginning a new business? Desiring to expand a current business? Or looking to resurrect a business that has been dormant? This program will get you fired up and bring more pleasure than you have ever imagined. Exhausted with your excuses for not creating a phenomenal business? Join now for all the pleasure with business. Pleasure of Business a la carte gives you total choice for what you desire and what your business requires. That's 24 weeks of different topics to choose from with weekly calls, audio and video recordings, and PDFs. This class will have you dive right in and use tools to create the business that has been speaking to you. Go to inspiredchoices.ca for full details or join the Facebook page Pleasure of Business a la carte. Now is the time for you and your business.
This is Inspired Choices radio show with Possibilities coach Christine McIver. To participate in the program, call in the U.S. 815-880-8255. In Canada, 613-800-8736 or Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to Christine@InspiredChoices.ca. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, everyone. So tonight we've been talking about doubt and where doubt can actually stop us, where doubt can actually create something that we don't desire to have in our world. You know, if this is something that is up in your world, if this is something that you would like to change, I actually have a couple of specials just for this season of, you know, spring is around the corner and we want to kind of prepare ourselves for the next cycle of creation, the next cycle of our lives, and this being the month of love. I would love to give you some love. So the specials that I have are coaching specials. So normally for one session with me, it's $250. I have a special on right now, one coaching session for 1 hour is only $150, or you can get 4 sessions. Normally, it's $1,000 for 4 sessions. You can get this for only $450. So if this is something where you would like to dive into, and if you would like to look at any areas where you have doubt, where you would like to change that, you can email me, Christine at inspiredchoices.ca, and I would be happy to offer that special to you. If you're listening to this replay, the special is actually there in the replay, and you can just go there and email me, and I would be happy to work with you. And if not me, who? Who can you reach out to? Who can you actually connect with to start to change this? To start to change the areas of your life where you're lacking that confidence. Maybe you're lacking the knowledge. Maybe you're lacking about how you actually move into your future. And, there's so many different tools that we work with as coaches that we can actually contribute to you. And when you're working with a coach will hold you accountable. A coach is not going to allow you to ignore what's right in front of you. That's one of the greatest reasons to work with a coach, is that somebody's going to hold you accountable. Because what have we done for so many years of our lives is we just push things under the carpet, right? We don't look at it. We don't allow it to stop us, because maybe at sometimes it's overwhelming, or it's really paralyzing. And I totally get that. I've had areas like that in my life too. But a coach, when you're ready to change something, when you reach out to a coach that resonates with you, they will hold you accountable. They will do it with kindness and with potency. You will get the changes that you desire, and more than likely, you'll get more than what you've asked for. What would your life be like if a month from now or 6 months from now you've gotten so vulnerable with the areas in your life where doubt actually is seeping in, where doubt is subtly under the radar, right? What would your life be like if you actually were willing to look at it, right? There's so many people that I'm aware of that are diving deep into personal development, that are diving deep into what hasn't been working with them. And, sometimes it gets messy, sometimes it gets really emotional, but my gosh, it is like the unfolding of something so crazy that what comes out of it is when the ashes go away, right? And what comes out of it is actually some of the most beautiful creations in the world when you start to step forward with your confidence, with knowing who you are and who you came here to be and who you're meant to be. Oh my gosh, that is like a beautiful song. That is like one of the most gorgeous, sexy, attractive things in the world when you are ready to change that doubt. My friends, it is possible. It is actually your birthright to be joyful. When you have bought into the lies about doubt in your world, based on something in the past, it is actually diminishing the capacities of who you are and what you can receive. But when you're willing to get down and dirty with it, when you're willing to look at it, you can change everything. I am so happy you joined me tonight. I'm so grateful for each and every one of you that are listening, that are contributing, and all of the messages that I receive regarding everyone who is checking in with me during the shows. If there's a topic you would like to learn about, if there's a topic that you would like me to speak about, please do email me, Christine at inspiredchoices.ca. You know what? What could we create together with our desires to change things in the world? Next week, please join me. I'm going to have a wonderful guest, Rob Murray, where we're going to be talking about leading with authenticity. Until then, my friends, remember, you can always make another choice.
Thank you for choosing to listen to Inspired Choices Radio Show. Christine McIver will return next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. We hope you'll join us. Until then, have the best week of your life by making the choices that bring you all that you desire.